So, good morning. Today's show day. Really excited. The Five Senses at Oxney Church. We are so chuffed, so pleased to have got access to Oxney Church. It's on private ground and you can't get in. And according to George from the History Project, who's coming with us, he doesn't think we're ever going to get in again. So that makes the day even more special. The sun is out. You know, it was sunny on Thursday, St Swithin's Day, and tradition has it that if it's sunny on St Swithin's Day, then the rest of the summer, maybe the autumn, are going to be really good, which is great because this year's been a bit poor. So I'm having breakfast and I'm fired up and I'm ready to go, and I can't wait to get out there and help today's guests with a little bit of history, natural history, a little bit of connectivity, and hopefully a little bit of peace. So see you on the walk. Bye. Makes sense with any kind of outdoor experience where you're thinking about or looking to deal with any kind of connectivity and engaging with the world we're in, to just take a minute and really think about how fortunate we actually are to be here on this planet. Because as far as we know, this is the only planet anywhere that's got life. Now the odds are that there's got to be somewhere else, but it's a long way away. Because much as we like to say, yes, we want to have a good sunny day and we don't like the cold, our window of operation is actually pretty narrow. We become gibbering and stupid, just too much heat, the same as with too much cold. Now, Earth is the distance it is away from the sun, and that's absolutely, we'd only be a fraction closer or a fraction further away, and none of this would have happened. You know, it's too cold on Venus, it's too hot on Venus, and it's too cold on Mars. So we're really lucky to be right here in this position with the sun right now just about there. Planet, live. And that has been the topic of discussion for thousands and thousands of years, and we still haven't properly worked out what the answer to that is, or even if it's a question come to that. But that spark is here and it's in us and it's a part of us all the time. But that gives you a question, because we can't put our hands on it and we can't measure it, where exactly is it? That's another question that people have been discussing forever. But the conundrum comes because you would say, oh, that spark's within us. You know, it's a part of us. But it isn't necessarily. Say the ragwort, it's always worth stopping and having a look, because those orange and black caterpillars are quite prominent. As our conscience or social distancing or anything else will allow. What I like to think about here is to just think about the sight, how we see what we see. See, again, we're really... time to go and touch the bark. Go and put your hands on the bark. You can hug the tree if you wish to, but touching is all that is actually required. And then we'll have a little chat about pine bark in a moment.
Into the sea, and if they do that, A, it's going to be really embarrassing for us, and B, it will really hamper any chance of us returning. Now, Julius Caesar, like very many military leaders in history, was very, very savvy. He had the gift of empathy. He could see the world through other people's eyes. So after just 4 days, got back on his ships and they went back to Gaul, okay, to avoid a disaster. Of course,
electromagnetic fields that are in the ground. We're affected by the electromagnetic fields that are in our solar system, and we know that they're there. You know, you've all seen electromagnetism in school when you have iron filings and they drag things around. But if it's run by electricity, then electricity is controlling that attraction, which just maybe means that there's something in astrology, and there's something in the alignment of the planets that affects us, which is why some days we feel bloody miserable for nothing we can put our finger on and touch or know or understand. It's why some days we feel euphoric for no reason that we absolutely know or can understand. That's because we have this connection with the world, and it has a huge impact on how we think, how we behave, and how we respond. And our sense of touch should be one of those things that reminds us of that every minute we are alive. Because this is our world, this is our heritage, and we're a part of this.
Now, Julius Caesar made several mistakes, but thankfully Julius Caesar was very, very smart, and he was aware that he'd made a few mistakes, and he went back to Gaul to avoid an absolute disaster.
Another one, whilst we're here and not thinking about it, we're 70% water. Yeah, 70% of our bodies is water. Now, we've got a moon that does an orbit every 28 days. And that has, you know, you've all heard the phrase lunatic. That's because some people feel an energy, they feel a pull, they feel a certain behaviour on those full moons. We know what the moon does to the sea. We see it with our tides. There's no way we don't have that connection, whether we acknowledge it or not.
Of course, we began the Battle of Britain because unlike Napoleon's attempted invasion, or of course Caesar's, by 1940 we had aeroplanes. Okay, so before crossing the channel, it was really important that the Germans attempted to seize control of the channel from the air. Of course, we fought the Battle of Britain. Thankfully, we won the Battle of Britain, and just point it out. The Battle of Britain began in July 1940, and thankfully on the 31st of October 1940, Hitler basically cancelled his plans to invade this country.
A chalk downland, if you like, and it's full of, I mean, you've got clovers in front of you, the purpley flowered plants. We've got ladies' bed straw, various dandelions, ragworts, cow parsley, but it still has to be managed because it will stay pretty cool as it is, but generally meadow is always cleared off in the autumn, and there'll be somebody from the National Trust will come and clear this later in the year because it needs to be cut down to regenerate for next year. A bit like the phoenix rising from the ashes, if you like. Somewhere else we're going to think about smell, and this is it. So just take a moment whilst we're stood here and just think about what you're feeling, what your body's telling you, and then we're going to log on to that. So what are the things that we notice stood here?
Clearness. Space.
It's quiet. What else can we feel? Breeze, windy,
Warm.
the sun's burning down on us. Okay, the air's also, and it'll be really apparent in a minute, the air's got a certain smell right here. The world's got a certain atmosphere.
Because it's dry.
Well, we can think about it more, but hang on to all of those feelings you have of the world as it is out here. Again, same question. How do you feel the world is in here? How would you describe this environment?
You can smell the sort of decay, you can smell the plants. It's a much more sort of warm sweetness.
It's a very, very different smell. Now compared to what we were saying outside, how else would you describe it?
Yeah, it's moister.
It's moister, it's cooler.
It's enclosed.
It's very much more enclosed. There's very much less wind. Within the space of what, 5 to 10 metres, we're in a completely different world. If we stop to actually think about it. Because there are times when we take sense of smell completely for granted. In fact, the only time we even realise that we've got a sense of smell is when somebody farts. And then we all laugh, because there's something inbuilt in our psyche. No matter what you do, if it's a fart joke, people find it funny. But you know, it's not only that, it's the one sense of smell we can turn off, and we do it all the time. When somebody farts, the smell doesn't go away, it's your ability to smell it. You cut the sense off. It's the same when you put on perfume. You only ever smell it for a couple of minutes, tops, and then your nose cuts it off. And the only people who smell it are the people that you meet, because you stop smelling it.
I say I've been so anxious about getting through that gate of late. It's such a relief to see that it's not locked. But the idea of just climbing over it, I mean, really? I'd struggle over that. So before we go into Oxney Bottom Woods, I just thought I would give you a bit of a backdrop to the history of this area in relation to smuggling. because it is widely believed that a huge amount of the stories surrounding these dark woods can be attributed to the smuggling trade. So basically, by about 1740, this area had a major problem with smuggling. Okay, it was so bad it was threatening the economy of the country. And in the end, in 1784, William Pitt the Younger sent an army in to deal, and they marched along the seafront and they set fire to every seaworthy vessel to wipe smuggling out. It was that much of a problem. Because, believe it or not, during the age of sail, the fastest boats on water were a type of rowing boat. They were known as, or history remembers them as, guinea boats, because they ferried lots of currency over to France to pay the soldiers during the Napoleonic Wars. And they were very large, they're about 7 feet wide and 40 feet long, and they had 12 men rowing on each side. Okay, they could cross the English Channel in about 5 hours. He is the first ghost reputed to walk these gloomy woods, and yet was almost unknown when the author of Ramblings in Kent with Pen and Paper mentioned him to locals in the pub at Ringwold in 1928. Now, writings from riders on the Dover stagecoach refer to Oxney Bottom and its dark pervading gloom. Apparently it was a stopping point for watering the horses and allowing the passengers to stretch their legs on the journey between Dover and Deal. Now, no recent evidence has come to light to show that this ghost still exists. And when I say recent evidence, I'm talking... Well done! There's also accounts of a headless horseman that was seen in these woods. There's an account of a horse and carriage going down the Dover Road, careening off of the road, going straight through the woods and almost vanishing, like, you know, the entire horse and carriage was a bit of a phantom.